Salve omnes, welcome to the screencast for Aeneid Book 1, lines 124 to 134. The storm continues to rage, and the winds have been plowing up the seas, but now Neptune, god of the seas, will notice that someone is infringing upon his domain. He does not take kindly to it. But I thought we would just take a quick look at this woodcut that accompanied the Dryden translation of the Aeneid, and it's illustrating the scene, and there's a lot of really lovely stuff going on. So up here you've got Aeolus and Juno speaking. She's beseeching him to release the winds. You can tell it's Juno because she flew up in her chariot pulled by a peacock. That's fancy. And so of course Aeolus has struck the rock with his back-turned spear, just as he read, and you can see here they come, all the winds with their faces blowing out from every direction. The seas are churned up, there's lightning, everyone's flipping out. Here is our man Aeneas with his twin upturned palms, thinking of the 3- and 4-time blessed Trojans who got to die before the faces of their father rather than dying anonymously here out in the storm. And then just a little illusion down here, you can see this horse coming out, and that's not a horse that's fallen out of a boat or anything, but that's rather Neptune riding up to calm the storm. So that brings us to our passage right now. Interea magno miscere murmure pontum, e missam quiem mem sensit Neptunus et imi stagna refusa vadis graviter motus et alto, prospicien summa placidum caput extulit unda. All right, so obviously a lot of strong alliteration. This is a very sound effect laden scene. So meanwhile, magno murmure, with a great murmur, Neptune noticed that the pontum, the sea, miscere, was being churned up, and still that, he sensed that, hiemem, a storm. Yeah, it's the same word that they use for winter, but here it clearly seems to mean a storm. He sensed that a storm had been sent out, and that the shallow pools had been poured back from the depths of the shoals, the deepest shoals. Graviter commotus, so gravely, deeply upset. So that's Neptune. Neptune, deeply upset, notices that this storm has been sent. And alto prospiciens, looking forth either from the deep or upon the deep. It could be a dative, could be an ablative, can't really tell. But alto for the deep, we'll remember, is a good example of metonymy. Summa placidum caput extulit unda. So he raised his calm head from the top of the wave. So you got the verb intruding there, but you might take that as a chiasmus, right? You've got summa going with unda, you've got placidum going with caput, so that might count as a chiasmus. I did want to draw your attention to and remind you about tenses in indirect statement, because that is an important feature of the grammar that it's worth reviewing. So from this first little part, I've broken it down. We've got the subject and the verb in the head, he sensed, and then we've got these accusative infinitive constructions. So he sensed pontum miscere, he sensed hiemem a missam, and we understand an essay with that. He sensed stagna refusa essay. All right, so past tense main verb. So Neptune sensed that pontum miscere, that the sea was being mixed up, that the sea was being churned. So it's past tense only because it's the same time as he sensed it. But now a missam and a refusa are both perfect passive infinitives, and so you've got perfect infinitives and a past tense main verb. So you really must remember to kick those into the pluperfect when you bring them into English. So Neptune sensed that a storm had been sent. He sensed that the pools had been poured back. So just a little reminder of there that in indirect statements, very important to keep your tenses straight. All right, so moving on. Disjectae Aeneid toto videt aequora classem fluctibus oppressos troas caelique ruina. The verb here is going to be videt. He sees. This is still Neptune. He sees the fleet, the Klasim, Disyectom, scattered. Where does he see it? The fleet of Aeneas I scattered toto Icoret on the whole sea. And we were alluding to chiasmus there, and probably definitely worth pointing out here. You've got verb in the middle, toto Icoret, Disyectom, going all the way over to Klasim, right? So definitely a chiasmus going on there. Also, particularly with this Disyectom and Klasim, those have been moved far apart for effect. And just as a reminder of what that effect is, hyperbaton, right? So moving words far apart for effect is hyperbaton, Disyectom, Klasim, and I think it's quite obvious what the effect there is meant to be. They are scattered on the whole sea. So get those out of the way so we can keep going. So he sees the scattered fleet. He sees still the Trojans crushed by waves and by the collapse of the sky. Nec latuere doli fratrem Eunonis et irae, erad se zephyrum vocat dentalia fatur. Nor did the tricks escape the notice of her brother, and the anger of Juno. So the subjects here of latuere, of course that's not the infinitive, but just short for latuerunt. So the subjects there, doli and irae. So nor did the tricks and the anger escape her brother. And so this Eunonis, it's only there once. You just got to decide what you want to hook it up with, because it can go anywhere. It can go, the anger of Juno, the brother of Juno, because they're that too. It could be the tricks of Juno, so nor did the tricks of Juno and her anger escape the notice of her brother. So that Eunonis, you just pick whichever one. If you want it to be Juno's anger, Juno's brother, Juno's tricks, the grammar will handle any of those, because et in practice can really even act like a que. So doli fratrem Eunonis qued irae, you could have that as well. So just pick where you want that to go. So her brother immediately recognizes, this is Juno's work. So that did not escape his notice. He calls Eros, the east wind, to himself, and Zephyrus, the west wind. Then he speaks such things. So he says such things. He says the following. One little note there, because it's fun. This line we should probably scan, because a couple of things are going on there. Let's go with red. Red's fun. So first, always got to find our elision. So Elrod, that's an elision, and then after that, looks like we're good to go. So Elrod, foot, say, Zephyr, foot, que, wo, foot, cat. And then, not sure about that one, so let's just skip that for a sec. Talia tour, and we got a foot here. All right, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything's working out, but we've got this wocat, and then we got to figure out what we should do here, because we got N, C, and T. So certainly that should be long, but there is no long, short, long. So there's no wocat de hink. Can't do that. What's actually happening here is not an elision, but sort of a related phenomenon that we've seen once before. Synezesis, right? So we saw it before with la winyaque, and here we actually pronounce this not as dehink, but just dank. So Elrod says zephyrum que wocat dank talia fator. So just a little note about the synezesis going there. A little funky, but you got to be able to handle that. So now Neptune has called the east and west winds to him, and he starts letting them have it. So the ne just triggers a question. So has tanta fiducia, has such great faith generous Westery, literally of your race, of your parentage, held you guys. Right, so they're gods, and really ancestry among the gods is still a big deal. And he's asking them, "Are you so certain about your place in the pecking order? So has such great faith of your parentage held you? Now, O wins, and we really like in English. We'd like to have a verb, and we finally find it with audatus. So now, O wins, you dare to miscere, so to mix up the heaven and the earth, meo sine numine, without my divine will, right? This is my province. You're on the sea. So, O winds, do you dare to mix up the sky and the land without my divine will, and to tolere, to raise up such great heaps, right? So such great mounds of water, right? Remember in an earlier part, the waves are described as mountains, right? The water goes up almost to the stars, so high that even the land beneath is exposed. And to drive home that the seriousness of the situation, Virgil employs some sound effects. And so first, make sure we've got our elisions taken care of. So mi ret tan tas au de tis tolere moles. All right, so think about how heavy that foot is, right? So foot, 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 foot. Right. So what we got? 4 spondies in a row, and then finally our dactyl spondy. So misce retantasau datis toleremoles. Right. So even his contempt, his the gravity of the situation is reflected in the heaviness of that line. So and he is mad. He is very mad. And Clay's going to pick it up after this, and he's going to get so spitting mad he can't even talk. And Clay gets the honor of introducing you all to Apaciopesis. So look forward to the next screencast. Thanks.